Hi, my name is Emren Akdamar, and I teach trombone, euphonium, tuba, and beginning trumpet at REW Music. One of the most recent breakthroughs I had with a student, it's actually a couple of students, in brass playing, one of the biggest ideas that we have is that, we have to use the right amount of wind, or the right kind of wind, in order to make the sound happen. And I find that often teachers aren't in schools. There's just so many students in a class, they don't get the individual instruction. That's what's one of the nicest things about private instruction, is they have that one-on-one time for us to be able to work on it. But there's so many students that the teachers don't have the opportunity to really go in depth. They just say, we'll use more air, use less air, but not how do I do those things, or in what ways do I do those things. And it's going to sound maybe slightly gross, but one of the biggest teaching tools that I have found pretty recently is spitwads, or spitballs. And it was really insightful to me seeing just straws and some paper, how many students hadn't done that before, and it's something I remember doing growing up, but B, how after doing 10 or 15, really going for distance behind it, and if you don't use the right air, then it's just going to fall forward versus, sticking to the blackboard. So, getting the students to do 10 or 15 of those really nice, far distance ones, and then we come back to the instrument, and okay, now do that. And it's like a totally different player, because now they're using the right amount of air for the instrument versus before where they're struggling to keep up. And you can say words over and over, but sometimes practice and like actual modeling and practicality does more teaching than you can. I think that a student should take lessons from me because I have gone through a lot of struggles in my own playing and working myself and digging myself out of those holes. And there are a lot of players out there who are more gifted than I, who just have more natural aptitude to the instrument, that haven't had to work at problems. But in my own learning process, sometimes those teachers aren't always the best, because if they never had to deal with that problem, then they really might not have any idea how to fix it. And when you have someone who's actually had to put in the work to get to where they are more than some others, then I think that it grows the perspective that I have as a teacher, but also it grows the amount of solutions I have in my toolbox for the way that we can get out of those problems, because I've done it myself, and I know firsthand, hey, if you do this and slowly chip away at it, then we will get there. I promise, because I was you at this point. I was going through this exact issue, and here's how we solved it. And if you need something slightly different, we can work on that, but at least try this way first. And I think that having to have struggled at points on the instrument and grow from that is something that makes me a better teacher, and I hope that's something that would make a student want to study with me. I think that keeping students excited about playing is not something that inherently falls on me, in a way that I can't force someone to do anything. But what I can do is create an environment where they're having fun and where they're enjoying being there. And we do that through repertoire that they enjoy, but also, unlocking things as they go. We learn different scales, and that expands the amount of notes we can play. We are able to play higher, louder, lower, things like that. And it's when we're unlocking things that I see the most excitement from students. And I don't think it's necessarily something I've done, but it's always the work that the students have put in that's really rewarding for not only me, but them, that makes them excited to keep coming back. Of course, the personality you bring into the lesson sets the energy, and if you come in and you're not excited, then the students aren't going to necessarily feel engaged. They can tell when you care, and it's also something you have to consider when you work with such a wide age variety, is bringing in all the right metaphors, whether they're young or older, and having a way to pivot from that if it's not working, and building that trust to where they can honestly say, I'm a little confused by what you're saying, rather than just giving you the, okay, and then they really don't get it. And so that building of trust happens organically and over time, but it also happens when you're, engaging with them at the level that helps them keep their energy up, and you've got to have the energy also in the lessons. That doesn't mean you have to be, bombastic, and I'm not Miss Frizzle, but I'm not just bored out of my mind or anything. I enjoy teaching, and I hope that comes through to my students.